Zelete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The black man is capable of managing his own affairs. Today we are going to talk about something massive happening in West Africa that is completely changing the fight against the TT activities. The nations of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have officially come together under a new alliance called the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States. Now, on paper, creating a new political union sounds like standard government business. But if we dig beneath the surface, why are these countries doing this right now? Why are they combining their parliaments and pooling their military resources? To understand the real strategy here, we have to look at how modern terrorism actually works in this region. For decades, the countries in the Sahel have been fighting an uphill battle against groups like ICA and all these people. But here is the major problem. Traditional military tactics don't work against these groups. When regular armies fight, they respect international borders. A Malian soldier stops at the border of Niger or Burkina Faso, but TT groups don't care about borders. In fact, they use those borders as a weapon.
We asked the question. We know there are 15 deputies per country present. That makes 45.
Yes, the 45 deputies, I think the confederal deputies are equipped to face the mission. It's not by chance that we got there. I think the choice was carefully considered by the different...
In all three countries, it was a wise choice. You say that?
Absolutely. For example, for me, it's the issue of security, a field that interests me a lot, in which I have evolved a lot. And I know that today, for example, the terrorism that the AES area faces is precisely based on one of these themes. That is how the sharing of intelligence.
Information, absolutely. It's very important.
Between our countries, between our armies, between our populations, between our political leaders, will now allow us to anticipate these large-scale terrorist attacks in Bamako, in Niamey, in Ouaga, or elsewhere, and daily against our populations. Because often the attacks that happen in Ouaga, Bamako, or Niamey draw everyone's attention because they are capitals. But unfortunately, all day long, our populations are attacked in villages, in camps, along the borders by these terrorist groups. Today, we have been entrusted on behalf of these populations to bring them peace. That's why I think the proposed themes are of utmost importance. Intelligence today is the backbone of the war we are facing, because the war against terrorism is not a conventional war between two states. It's a war. It's a coward's war.
Cowards?
Cowards. In fact, they are people who attack without warning, with surprise to cause damage, and then disappear into the wild a few hours later. And the best way to deal with a conflict like this is to have very competent intelligence services, very competent, very effective, with a certain flexibility in the frameworks that share intelligence to anticipate, to address these threats, and even to hunt down these threats. Because today, most of these people, for a very long time, have taken advantage of these colonial borders that are based on no reality. And me today, I am from Menaka, and then you talk to me about Niamey, Baliar, Felingui, Abala, Kinakodra, Inates, and for me, it's the same thing. I see no difference. I have relatives living on both sides of the borders. When they tell me that you are a Nigerian, you are a Malian, for me, this is something extremely important that the AES has just resolved. I was just saying yesterday with people, I said, I have never seen a project in which I recognize myself, in which I am ready for anything, more than the AES project, which has just put an end to those contradictions that are based on no reality. Today, whether it is on the political level, on the development level, or on the security level. Today, God has given us this framework of the AES, which will allow us today to address the daily lives of our populations in Burkina, Mali, Niger with the same solutions, because we have the same problems, we have the same challenges. Today, the two terrorist organizations our region is facing are Al-Qaeda and Daesh on both sides. And it is these two organizations that are putting pressure on our populations, on our economies, on our armies, and on our institutions.
That's
and
it.
today, the best way to fight these people is to come together. That's why the unified force is a very good thing. As for the attacks on the 25th, I experienced them in Menaka. And when we were attacked in Menaka, instead of launching drones from Sevare or Bamako, which is 1,600, 1,700 kilometers away, thanks to...
Think about how these TT operates. They don't fight fair, and they don't hold static positions. They launch a surprise attack on a small village or a military post, cause as much destruction as possible, and then immediately flee across the border into a neighboring country. Why do they do this? Because historically, the army chasing them had to stop at the borderline. The TT knew that once they crossed that line, they were safe from immediate pursuit. They were initially using colonial era borders as a protective shield. These borders were drawn on maps over a century ago by European powers. They don't reflect the real lives of the people who live there, where families and ethnic communities span across both sides of the frontier. More importantly, these borders created a massive communication gap between neighboring militaries. If a TT group fled from Mali into Niger, it used to take days or even weeks of bureaucratic paperwork for the two governments to coordinate a response. By that time, permission was granted. The TT were long gone. This brings us to the core reason why the AES Parliament and Unified Military Force were created. The most important weapon in asymmetric warfare, a war where small, fast-moving insurgent groups fight large national armies, is not heavy tanks or expensive fighter jets. It is intelligence. If a government relies solely on flying a drone from a capital city like Bamako, that drone has to travel over 1,500 kilometers just to reach the front lines in a place like Menaka. By the time the drone arrives, the attack is over and the damage is done. The response is simple, too slow. By establishing a unified AES framework, these three nations are removing the red tape. They are sharing real-time intelligence directly between their command centers. If truly all of us in Africa are ready to be free and to drive away these things that were imposed on us, the TT, like the Algerian president said, was not created by us in Africa, but they were given to us or imposed on us by the same people who are singing the songs of coming to help us fight them. Then it is time for us all to have a joint unified force, like what we are seeing in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This force is massive, and their new parliament is made up of 45 members, 15 from each place. This is the Africa we are looking for from our leaders. An Africa where we are united, fighting our own battles, taking our own decisions, doing everything possible to stay free. Because now they are saying the resources will no longer go into the hands of other people. We need to protect ourselves. Gone are the days when we are made to believe that we need to sit here for them to come and take control of us. That time should be a thing of the past. And Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have shown us the way to true liberation, true freedom, and how to safeguard our territory and bring back peace and security in our continent. We don't need people outside of the continent to come and fight this battle for us. We need ourselves. And by needing ourselves, we need unity. Unity is the only thing that will give us the power to fight for our total liberation. What is the essence of us meeting every year to sing the songs of peace, the songs of unity, when we cannot unite as a people to defend ourselves. Now we have AES Parliament. This is big. This is beautiful. And this is what we want as Africans. Doing things together like we used to before they came in contact with us. How long must we serve the interests of other people in exchange for what? For poverty? For hardship? We must come together. And the AES leaders have shown us the way. It is time we all start seeing ourselves as one people, regardless of where you find yourself as an African or as a black race. Until we all start loving and working in unity, it will be difficult to defeat the same people who are chasing us. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in AES.